It's about 19 people every day in the UK that die by suicide, and 200 are school children. Are you thinking of suicide? Like, people are terrified of asking that question. And yet it's like the single most important thing you could ever do for a person. If they had asked me, and they didn't, but a friend did, if they had asked me, are you thinking of suicide? I would have said yes at that point. A family friend dying by suicide. My dad's godson, his name was JP. I think it's really important to name people, speak their name. I don't know how much they know that how much he's shaped my, get really emotional, how much he's shaped my whole focus of life. Because I don't want anyone else to go through that. The power of listening and the power of not trying to fix someone. So when they're in their deepest, darkest depths, and my God, people would call and say things like, hey, I'm going to die tonight and I don't want to die on my own. This is one call I had that obviously has never left me. I see you, I hear you. That is the most life-saving messages of all, isn't it? And you're not alone. I think by acknowledging how close death always is, it reminds us to live.
If someone is listening right now and they're not in a great place, what would you want to say?
Oh, you get me going. That you're not alone, you matter, and there's a reason to stay.
I'm on a mission to help the world to see success differently. We're sharing the stories of our guests. I hope to inspire those that listen. This is the Different Hats podcast, produced by H2 Productions. I hope you can join us on this journey.
Need a new van? Why not pop down to Rivervale in Brighton? Explore our range of new and used vans, lovingly prepared and ready to work just as hard as you do. Rivervale, making motoring manageable.
Okay, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today's conversation I know has the potential to probably be one of the most important we've had on here, if I'm being honest. Because statistics are still around 6,000 people die by suicide in the UK every year. 75% of those are men. And many of them people have, it's been recorded, I think it's something like 2/3 have never spoke to someone about their mental health. Which is it just blows my mind every time I hear those type of statistics. Suicide prevention, I think it doesn't belong to professionals, right? It's all of us. And my guest today is the amazing Rose Rowkins. Rose, it's amazing to have you here. I know you're on a mission to help people overcome fear and find the words to talk about suicide, which I've been on the incredible ASIST training, which is life-changing. There's no question about it. What I took away from it was so much. I know some of the people I met on that course as well. I've met with them and we've spoke about it as well, and it is incredible. So if you haven't done it, this is my call to action. Get on there, speak to Rose. I'll be sharing notes afterwards. Please get onto it. But look, I guess there's a couple of things I really want to explore today. And the big question I put on here is, how have we created a world where people feel safer hiding their pain and speaking about it? Which I want to just explore as we go through. But also, along the way, I want to talk about men and silence. I want to talk about parenting, emotional well-being, modern pressure, obviously redefining success and the impact that can have. And I guess how all of us can learn how to have conversations that not only change but save a life, right? I think that's where I'm at. So, yeah. Rose, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. So good to be here.
Look, we've known each other for a while, and like I said, I've obviously done a couple of your courses, but certainly the ASIST one that I've done earlier in the year just was incredible. And the work you're doing is saving people's lives. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
So, but look, loads of things we're going to delve into. Before we do, as always, I want to kick off and start with your landing. How are you? Where are you today? This season of life, Rose.
Yes.
You all right, mate?
I thought you'd never ask, mate. You all right? Oh, this is going to be weird because I'm used to listening, and it's weird being. Am I all right, mate? Do you know, Sam? I actually am. I'm all right. I'm all right. I was really thinking this on my walk here, like, am I all right? Because it's such an automatic thing, isn't it, that we just say, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not fine, but I am all right. It's a difference, isn't it? I mean, the world is fucking heavy. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, we are definitely allowed to swear.
Good, because I do.
Yeah.
The world is really heavy, isn't it? But I don't know. In myself, I feel like I've got to a good place. I mean, I happen to have just had 2 weeks in France, which helps. I've got a good balance in life. But my God, I'm working so hard now until the summer. But I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful. I feel like I've got to a place where I'm like, I kind of know where I sit in it, and I know what I can change and what I can't change. And that brings me a lot of peace. That's a classic. There's that poem, isn't there, around that? But I am all right. I've got lots of things in the diary that I'm looking forward to. The sun is shining. May is a stunning time in Brighton. Yeah, really so I'm feeling good. Like, creativity is in abundance in my life, and that helps. Connection is in abundance. Yeah, my body is strong and getting stronger because I'm weightlifting, and that is helping. I sing. Like, I'm all right. I feel like I've got to a good place where work is, you know, it's absolutely not secondary, but my focus is on keeping well and making sure those around me are well, and that kind of is the work. And then, you know, if the money flows, well, hey, bonus. And it tends to, when you're just with good people, enough money, that's all you need, right? And so I'm okay. I'm very, very, very lucky. I've got a lot of love in my life.
It's so good to hear. I know.
God, what
as well, like with the camper
cringy
vans.
answer.
No, not at all. I love it, and that's the point of it, right? Like for me, and we will come on to this later, I think, about hope, and I think that's the feeling, right? Like, sometimes I love the asking that question, and that's why the question isn't always that it's got to be an answer where you go, oh, you know what, I'm struggling, or I'm not fine, or what. That's not always what I'm encouraging. It is the encouragement of going just to share, to be honest, I guess, is the key. And if people are good, then that's great. Because for me, I know, I always liken it to lockdown. Like, when I remember, like, lockdown, tough time, especially in business, right, was a tough time. I do look at it fondly. Like, we paused for a time, and there was some amazing things that come out of it. But like, I remember thinking, like, the business is up, and you're like, oh, like, what's going on? But I'd loved speaking to people who would go, like, oh, it's actually, things are going really well at the moment, like, especially digital agencies or something like that. They go, like, I'm blowing up at the minute. But I wanted to speak to those people because it gives you hope, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's lovely to hear. And I know, like, obviously, I know you've got a camper van, and you go around. I obviously follow you on these, and this sounds amazing. Right? And for your son as well, like, what an amazing thing.
It's my second camper van, and each one has been,
really
life-changing. I mean, that is an overused word, and we'll probably use it quite a lot in this conversation, but there are some things in life that just genuinely are, whether that's a dirty chai or a camper van or a conversation, you know. Literally, we've all had it, you know. I've been on both sides of those conversations, and what a privilege to have been part of something so transformative. It's I mean, it's about part of being human, right? It's like literally what makes us stay alive.
And so, I guess for you as well, like, listening to, like, again, we'll go a bit more into your work a bit later, and how and because it is heavy, and there's a massive topic that we're talking about. So actually, it's what I took from your answer is the importance of looking after yourself, right? to be the best version of that you can. Not that work's secondary, but it's got to be that you're the priority.
Yeah, and I've noticed it now just in how I the detail of how I plan my weeks. If I look through my diary, and I'm still using a paper diary, right? I'm not a Luddite. I just love writing things with pen. If I look forward, like what's coming up, there's loads of like fringe shows in there. There's sauna dates with friends and maybe potential collaborators as well, because the line between work and play is like quite often mixed. Like sauna dates and lunches and those go in first, and then like, also I need to fit in the the lead generation and all that stuff. But even that, like, it's about changing language. Like, like I don't call them meetings anymore. I just call them conversations. I don't think of it as like lead. I hate that phrase, lead generation or like sales. No, I'm of service. Like, I can do a thing that maybe you need. Like, I'm just here to be of service and add value to you. I don't have to sell myself to you. If you like what I'm saying and you think that what I'm offering is something you need, and I believe it is, but that's not for me to say. That's for you to work out. And if you like the vibe, because the whole vibe attracts your tribe, I truly believe that. Like, it doesn't become like, it takes the stress out of it. All you need to do is show up. I say all you need to do. I mean, it's not that fucking easy, let's face it. And it's taken me years. And I'd almost go as far as to say, I mean, I'm now 11 years into being a suicide prevention trainer. I'd say it's only really this year that I've started going, oh, okay, like this is how I do it. This is how I want to do it, because there's a lot of noise, isn't there, in every industry. And actually, look, suicide prevention has become an industry. Like, I'm jumping ahead. I know you don't want to talk about work just yet, but it's how do you separate yourself? It's like, that's not who I am. It's just something I do, and it's something I happen to be good at. But that's not, can't be everything. We can't be our work, our job title.
So I shared something recently exactly that around it's the identity, right? We get wrapped up in an identity. Like, especially, I guess the first part of this year, me letting go of a lot of stuff, stepping away from big business breakfast clubs, closing thermals, doing loads of things that felt like was part of my identity, but it's not. That's not who. What you do is not who you are, and I think that's such a relevant thing. And again, one of the questions that we're asking kids at school when we go in and do with the year 6 is exactly that. It's not what do you want to do, it's who do you want to be. It's got to be a better question, isn't it?
Totally. Who do you want to be? Absolutely. Oh God, that's so great you're asking kids that as well.
Because I think that, and look, I'm always conscious of, we talk about getting to midlife, and we mentioned it upstairs before we come down about who am I and what ask them big questions. You get to that stage in life, but I do think it can be maybe not as deep as that with kids, but we can identify behaviours and values at a young age.
It. Totally. My boy is 6, right? And I've said this before, and maybe you've seen it, but every night since he's been born, since he was born, when I put him to bed, on the nights I put him to bed, I say, Stan, is it better to be clever or kind? And of course he couldn't speak for the first couple of years, but now that he can speak, he knows the answer is kind. And like, sometimes he cheats and he's like cheeky, clever mummy. And I'm like, well, no, that's a bonus, great if you're clever, but that's not important. It's much more important to be kind. He knows it. And like when I praise him for being kind, like, he just lights up, because he knows that's the biggest value in our family. Like, and then you were saying about who you are and what you do, and that's, I guess, how you can put it into child speak. Who you are, kind. What you do, clever. Bonus. If you can learn some stuff, if you can do some stuff, great. And actually, if you can do kindness, wow, there you go. You're kind of nailing it. And so, I just feel, is it better to be clever or kind? I think is a really key question, and I'm just so proud of him that he's really absorbing that, and that idea of gratitude and being lucky. And we haven't quite used the word privilege. He's 6, but we're getting there. I'm really. He's a white man. He's going to grow up to be a white man, and he needs to know how lucky he is to have a roof and food and Lego, and like, not every kid does. This isn't your fault, and we know there's no kind of guilt tripping around this, but it's like just check yourself. Know that when you're going, it's not fair. It's like, oh my God, you have it so fucking fair. So lots of real like careful messaging around that. And parenting is. I'm glad that we're going to talk about parenting, because it really does link to kind of what I do and like, well, who I am. There you go. You're going back to that. Yeah, and it's all wrapped up. It's all It's all.
Because
I remember the
first time you told me that. And I was like, oh, I fucking love that. I just love it. I was like, that is what a like, 'cause again for me, when you think about it, really, a lot of the stuff like I'm passionate about trying to get into the whole emotional literacy stuff because ultimately the purpose of what's the purpose of education? This is something I've explored with a couple of people recently on the podcast. But actually, like, what a brilliant message it would be to go, we're going to raise children, or we're going to teach children to be as kind as possible and teach emotional literacy skills and go that, and that be rewarded for that and measured on that exactly the same as they are academically.
Yeah.
Because it's really simply
So important.
if we ask that question, what are we creating? We're creating clever children, which we're only going to create a small percentage because some of them learn in a different way, or we're going to create a world that's kinder.
Yeah. Like it's such a no-brainer to me.
You know? Surely, and this is where my belief and my this whole mission that I'm on to try and reduce suicide, that's where it starts though, right? Like with kids, like the education, the language around it, all of that. But actually, we create a generation that's kinder and understand their emotions, able to talk about them and articulate.
Yeah, and look out for each other as well. And I think that's something that's not, it's the no person left behind. It's like if loads of you are playing in the playground and there's somebody that you're not invited to play with, what is going on there? Like, why are none of you saying, come play with us? No kid left behind, And I think that's the message that I don't know. I'm not a teacher in schools anymore, but I don't know what the messaging is now. But hopefully it's really focusing around that, because that bullying has it's a dangerous place to go.
And that side of it, completely different, right? To when at school, when you go like now, social media, like it's not you go to school and maybe you get bullied, you come home, at least you've got to say like it's 24/7, right? With WhatsApp groups and social media and stuff like that, and you go like tough for that next generation, right?
I hate to be young now.
Yeah. I know, I can't imagine. But look, let's. Obviously, the big question I always ask, of course, as well, is success. Right? But, like, how do you
little
define
question.
It?
How do I define success?
What does it mean to you?
Well, what it doesn't mean to me is all the stats, right? And obviously, it's not about money, but it's not even about numbers. It's not like, oh, I've trained this many thousands of people, or I've done this many workshops. That's just numbers, and that's great because within those, but it's within those numbers. It's the individuals, isn't it? So success to me is when somebody sticks behind after a class, whether it's a Zoom or an ASIST, and they'll say something like, because of the training, because of that, I'm going to go and pick up the phone. I'm going to have a call that I've been putting off. I'm going to pick up the phone to a mate I've been worried about, and I haven't known what to say, and I've been putting it off for weeks. But after this 90 minutes or after this 2 days, I still don't know what to say because I don't script it for them, right? But I've got the confidence to have a go. So for me, I guess success is somebody having hope, somebody leaving a session of mine, one of my team, feeling more hopeful than when they went in. Like they can make a difference. They know they can change something. I think that's really key to me, that there's some sort of transformation that's happened. And I guess on a personal level, success is getting to a place where I've got that freedom and that confidence to like take all of August off and know that, and just trust in the universe that I will come back refreshed. I will come back better in myself and stronger with new energy. That's only something I've done in the last couple of years, and that I'm really, again, grateful for, and I'm aware of the privilege of that, of having the camper van and being able to rent the house out and make it kind of not quite net zero, but we're spending a lot on petrol, but like as in not carbon neutral, but money neutral, because we're like, making the money on the house. So we're lucky we spend that. But yeah, I think success is such an important, it's such an interesting question, this. But it's the individuals for me. It's the individuals feeling confident that they can make a difference. That's what gets me up in the morning.
Amazing. And if I was to have asked Rose back at maybe early 20s, or what would the answer have been then?
Oh, That's an interesting one, because in my early 20s I was a Samaritan, right? And that's weirdly. But I had an ambitious day job. I was working for a publisher. I was flying around the world, not speaking at conferences, working at conferences, San Francisco, Istanbul. It felt very glamorous. So I guess for me at that time, success was going to be something around having some sort of, bit more high flying job that involved travel and like Hilton hotels and stuff. It didn't last long. I left by my late 20s. I'd quit on a whim. I was like, this isn't for me. And I remember going for a run. I haven't thought about this for years. I went for a run the day I thought I'm going to quit. And when I got back home, there was like a bunch of roses on my doorstep. They weren't for me. Somebody had dropped them there. I was like, well, that's a sign. I picked them up and I was like, right, I'm quitting today. Had no plan, didn't know what I was going to do. But in the next 6 months, that's when I retrained as a teacher, bought the camper van, the first one, and then ended up going on an epic journey. Drove to the Middle East. I don't think you know about that. I don't know. It's another trip, another story. But yeah, just success completely redefined overnight. And it was like, no, it's about freedom and it's about connecting with other humans from other countries. And
wow,
it's quite different.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. I love
People
the
are amazing.
I love the thought of the, like, just, and it seems like you believe in that, like within the, like you say, I believe in the universe and it's going to be all right. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, what's happened for you to think along those lines? And have you always sort of been like that from a young age? Like, just go, everything's...
I think believing it makes it more likely to happen. So there's something about that. My brother would probably disagree, but I think we had a really good childhood. You know, every kid's different. I feel we were lucky in that we travelled a lot as kids, and my parents are amazing. They're still together after, God, how old am I? So they're nearly 55 years married. 72. Anyway, can't work it out. Maths isn't good. But they are still very much in love. They have their own lives. I think they just always instilled in us that, you know, just do what makes you happy. But also do what the world needs. And when I first went off travelling on my own at 18, on my gap year, which makes me sound like an absolute wanker. Gap year. But I went to Africa to teach when I was 18. And I was shitting myself. I was scared. But my dad was like, look, wherever you go, wherever there are humans, there is a place to get water. There is a place to get food. There is a transport system of kinds. Like, if you need to get from here to here, you don't know it because you've never been there before. But if you need to get from here to here, other people also need to get from here to here. All you got to do is work out the system. Like, where do they get their food from? Where do they get their water from? Where do they sleep? So it's just a case of being a detective. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, so then I just started traveling. When I started traveling on my own, it was like, you know, that was the message I was getting of like, the world is a safe place for the most part. Like, the default is, I believe people are good. The default is the world is a safe place. And that has, I guess that's been my experience. And I really appreciate this, speaking from a place of white privilege and, you know, having enough funds to travel. When I went off on this big camper trip later, when I was around 30, we'd work, we'd earn enough money to get the petrol in the car, and off we went. Like, it was just trusting that it comes when it needs to. I don't know where it comes from, Sam, but it's lucky because it works.
And there is something, so like, because I think we, you know, I guess we live in a society that maybe that's not the overriding message, that it's all gonna, like, it's all, because there's a lot of negativity out there, right? And there's a lot of the other narrative around what success means, and it's not necessarily that. It's not the freedom to go and do that. It is the, you know, this blueprint for life, the married, kids, big house, car, corporate job, whatever there is.
Yeah,
things
God,
like that.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I find fascinating. Like, you never thought of that.
No. And I just always followed my heart and like had these wild love affairs, and, you know, it got me into some scrapes and it led me very heartbroken, and, you know, wow. I mean, that's probably for another time, possibly not here. But it got to a point where, for example, I was like mid-30s, late 30s, and I was like, okay, kids aren't going to happen for me. But because I hadn't fixated on it as like, that was my idea of success, like marriage, kids, I was like, that's just not something that's in my path. That's obviously, you know, I've prioritized other things. I've prioritized, you know, living for the moment. And that's not led me down that path. And then, and then I swiped right and I met a guy and things changed very, very quickly and unexpectedly. And now we're married. And that was I never thought I'd be a wife. I wasn't going to be Rose Rowkins. I was Rose Allett. That was my name. Wow. But I took his name because I like the alliteration. Sounds quite good. I wouldn't have taken it otherwise. I'm a feminist, dude. I'm like, why do I need a man's name? Oh, actually, Rose Rowkins sounds really good.
He's a great name.
So I'll take it.
So what I loved what you said, and this is what I'd love to instill in my kids, is just to follow your heart, right? Like, there's something so, again, I think like if the overriding message was that,
it's easier said than done, though, because we don't often know what our heart wants or needs. And I mean, if you stop to think about it, it sort of disappears and fades away. Like it really does require, you know, trust in your gut, doesn't it? And acting on instinct and not being like contaminated with the messages of, but you should want this, and this is what is expected of you. And
it's that the couple of words there, should, right, and expectation. There's something in that, right? We constantly question. Again, you get to midlife, and I guess why many people maybe have wobbles around that time, because they go, I should, by society's definition or other people's expectation, or even your own expectation you put on yourself, that I should be here by then.
Oh my God. There's so many reframes I've learned along the way, and I'm sure you have. Like, obviously should, we switch out for could, right? So it's not like I should do this, it's like I could do this. It's a choice. I could, or I might choose not to. So there's a simple one. I mean, another one is like, I have to, like XXX. And I remember years ago, like someone suggesting, I don't, like, switch that out for I get to. Like, I have to do the laundry. I get to do the laundry for people I love, you know? Like I have to, I don't know, go shopping. I get to choose delicious food to put on my table. Like you switch it out and everything changes. And then later in life, I've learned in terms of business, like I mentioned earlier, instead of sales, which vomit, icky, it's of service, you know. And the other one is content. And I know this is content, but the word makes me feel a bit sick, especially when you think about like LinkedIn and posts and like, oh, got to write some content. So for me, that simple switch is, you know, in fact, it was Hema Patel suggested, like, it's not content, it's connection. I'm like, connection I can do. That's my bag. Like, So if I'm putting out, there's a connection, there's a bid to say, hey, I'm doing a thing, or hey, read this thing, I think it's interesting, or here's a little bit of my life. And then if people connect, great. It doesn't feel like content anymore. And so I don't know, language is so interesting to me, and it really is applicable to the work I do around suicide as well, of course. You know, I'm sure we'll get to it, but you know, the words we choose to use, they really matter.
And I love the reframing. Like, so much of, obviously, the whole essence of the podcast is trying to reframe success, what that means, right, and why. But it is the language and the stuff that we use is so important. Not just that we put out there, because I think I believe you're right. Like content, what am I sharing? I'm sharing connection. I'm sharing a message that hopefully will be of value to people, and just trying to get those messages across. But I think it's so important that reframing of different things, and like you said, the language that we use. But you mentioned there about, obviously, like your work and getting it. But let's go back a little bit, and I want to try and understand what led you to go into that work, because you mentioned obviously about being a Samaritan in your early 20s.
Weirdly young, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can't imagine, if you looked at the statistics of people with Samaritans, not many are. 20. Mostly
retired or, you know,
So what?
So, I did that very, very directly off the back of a family friend dying by suicide. My dad's godson, his name was JP. I think it's really important to name people, speak their name. Great website, speaktheirname.org. JP was a really amazing guy, and I grew up with him. Our two families were super close. Our parents had all met at uni, My dad was his godson. No, other way around. JP was my dad's godson. And he was about 10 years older than me. I'd always had a bit of a secret crush on him. I'd had dreams of our future. And I must have been I was at uni, I think. I was 19, 20. And he suddenly was gone. And I guess for me, that was a huge wake-up call. That was like I was oblivious till then. I think kids now are so much more aware of suicide. They speak about it. They're aware of it. Social media made them much more aware. But I was just naive, and I was like, shit, this is a thing. This is something people do. Like, just heartbreaking. And he was the classic life and soul, last person you'd ever imagine. I learned so much from that. And for sure, he has completely shaped my career, because then everything I've ever done since, it's not all been about suicide for sure, but it's always been around people and helping people and connecting and trying to understand people's pain and accept it. And, So, he's the reason I became a Samaritan at 21.
Wow.
And there were signs we realised after. I think that was a big learning for me. And I didn't really learn. The Samaritans training was brilliant. And I was there for 5 years. I ended up training new people as they came in. I ended up working out at the Lewis prison. There's loads more that you can do than just be on the phone. So you've got to get your shifts in, including your night shifts. Whoa, those are hard. But really, I wanted to just learn everything. And then over the years, we look back and sort of learned that JP was giving signs in the only way he was telling us, in the only way he could, as people do.
What sort of shares? Can you share some of them signs?
For example, things that we wouldn't normally think of. He'd recently, a relationship had ended, and some people knew that, but you might not think that's enough, but it's something, isn't it? It's something to get you worried. We knew he had diabetes, and I think he'd only told a couple of people that he'd been told that from a doctor that was going to make him blind. So, there you go. There's another thing. It was circumstances. It wasn't so much in his behaviour necessarily, although I think there was also, I wasn't one of the people he called, but he'd also called his family members in the days before. And with hindsight, those were his ways of checking in, saying goodbye with each person. But unless you kind of get these things on your radar and check in quickly and get curious and be like, hang on, but didn't you also call our sister or, your mum, and what's going on here, JP? What are you trying to tell us? It's these moments that can get just lost, can't they? And it's so often, and I've heard it, how many hundreds of times, after somebody has died by suicide, then we'll say there's no signs, there were nothing. And actually the cruelty of hindsight is that people often in time go, they were telling me in the only way they could tell me. And often it's unconscious, right? But what we know is that most people do let others know that they're struggling, because we think we're wearing a mask. It's a fucking shit mask most of the time. We don't need to look very deep before we're like, you're not all right, are you? And it's not about catching people out. It's not about you're lying to me. No, of course it's not. It's just you're right, mate. It's how are you really? Because I know you're telling me this, and this isn't about catching you out or thinking that you're some sort of liar, but I'm just wondering if you're saying that, and maybe there's another truth as well, that it's not all good, and that and give the reasons. And these are the reasons I'm worried, because you've said this, or I know that you've broken up with somebody recently, and I know that your health isn't the best, and maybe you've stopped caring for yourself a little bit in the way that you used to, or whatever they are, the super subtle signs. Oh my God, I've got so many examples of these signs that you might just completely dismiss. We do in life because we're busy but these tiny things are not to be ignored. Wow, I've gone off on a big tangent, but JP is, and I don't know how much his parents know, and I don't know if they're ever going to listen to this, because obviously they're still some of my parents' best friends, and I know them and love them dearly. I don't know how much they know that how much he's shaped my get really emotional, how much he's shaped my whole focus of life. Because I don't want anyone else to go through that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I guess I guess from that, something so tragic, and like you said, how much he's shaped your life and your career and what you've done. But from that tragedy, what the purpose has come out of that, and how many people's lives you've helped save, and so that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
In that sense, that
It's hard to quantify, and you asked about success. You can't put numbers on it because you never know, actually, do you? The ripple effect and what you've done. But sometimes then you get these tangible stories where people will say, thanks to your training, I've had a conversation, or some people say the most incredible things. Like, I've had somebody say, well, I know we said we wouldn't talk about methods, but I've had somebody say I helped talk someone off a bridge, which is amazing. To that level. So yeah, I've had incredible stories of people saying they've literally saved a life thanks to the things that they've learned through our training. And how many more? You just never know, do you? Yeah.
And I guess that period of time as well, like with the Samaritans, from the calls you've had and the training, I guess, that you got from that, what was the biggest lesson that you learned around suicide prevention from those early years?
Yeah, because what the Samaritans do is quite different now to what I teach. We take it one step further in the training because we intervene and we do safety planning and stuff. But the Samaritans don't, right? They just listen. And I guess my biggest learning was, oh my God, so many, was around, it sounds like a cliche, but the power of listening and the power of not trying to fix someone. So when they're in their deepest, darkest depths, and my God, people would call and say things like, hey, I'm going to die tonight and I don't want to die on my own. And you're like, fuck. And you're in it. You're like, that's it. I've answered the phone and we are in this now. And it's like 10 o'clock at night and here we go. And just, this is one call I had that obviously has never left me. But what happened is through the course of the call, I guess the learning here is around people's survival instinct. It's really fucking strong. Like, why did they make that call? Mm-hmm. They said they called because they didn't want to die on their own tonight. What they, I believe, meant is I don't want to die tonight and I just need to be heard. And through the course of the call, sure enough, they were like, I don't want this anymore. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't tried to fix. Then there were no silver linings. There was, in fact, actually a lot of what they were bringing. I was like, yeah, wow, fuck, your life is really hard. And I understood and I accepted fully why this person had got to the end of it. I was like, I could see it. And I guess just through having another human being there, just accepting that suicide is an option. It's like what we teach in ASIST. Suicide is an option for people. It's a part of being human. It's available. Yeah. And I think for us to go, no, take that one off the table. That one's not an option for you is just demeaning and not true. And we don't have that power. And it's you're kind of taking control away from somebody. And not helpful at all. Somebody needs to feel like they're in control. But all we can say is, yeah, I get that life is so hard right now that's one option. And there are others. Like staying alive tonight is an option. And that's what that person chose to do.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. So I guess the learning there, is silence, power of silence, the power of sitting with somebody and just accepting fully that this is where they were at and resisting that urge to make anything better and know that you are making things better by just doing that. It feels contradictory, right? But it really works.
My understanding is, especially some of the conversations I've had on here, and just some of the beats and just listening and stuff, is that often my understanding is that, I think it was David Eakins that shared this, it's not that actually people want to die from suicide. Like when they make that call, it's not that they want to die from suicide, they just want the pain. They're in so much pain, they just want the pain to end. Yeah. And that, it's like you said, that's an option. Yeah. And I guess, like you say, just being able to listen and just being able to go, that is an option, but there is another, because that option's finite. Yeah.
Final.
And the other options are maybe, I think I listened to something with I follow a guy called Luke Bateman, who is a fascinating guy, and he talks a lot about obviously his own mental health struggles and stuff, but he was talking about it, about opportunities, and he was saying about actually, like, if you take that option and you die by suicide, there's
never know.
there's no opportunities. Whereas if you choose life and you choose to stay in this world, the opportunities are abundant, right? And whatever. So it is, I guess, like the power of listening, just being able to maybe share that and get someone to think, because when they're in that dark point, I guess that's the key, isn't it? When they're in that dark point, they feel like that's the only option. But if there's just that, and I remember like something I took away from the ASIST training was the fact of going, like, not having to just fix it right there and then, but just being able to go, is there a little glimmer there that you can just see a glimmer that you can then give them that little bit of hope, so that it's something that they can focus on that maybe just shifts that a little bit, just to go, and even if it's to keep them safe for that hour,
safe for now,
safe for now, there's something in there, and I think that it's just being able to present that. But I think as individuals, this is the key. Listening to what you've said about listening, active listening is such an important thing. That, again, is it something that we should be teaching kids at a young age to have those skills? That skill alone, to just listen, is so powerful.
Yeah, literally life-saving. Oh, there's so much in there, Sam, that you've said, and I want to kind of pick it all apart. Okay. There's so much in there. I mean, I've that idea of most people thinking of suicide don't want to die, they want their pain to end, is such a mantra for me, and it gives me so much hope, and it keeps me going through this work, because I believe it to be true. At the times when I have considered suicide, I absolutely didn't want to die. I just didn't want to live the way I was feeling. And I guess it's we want the pain to end, ideally, but if we just could have the pain lessen. And how do we do that? I mean, a conversation has that power. I think that's the point. Like, it's nothing. We don't need to come up with some magic wand. You know, we can't do things like bring people back to get relationships back on track, or get somebody their job back, or we just don't have that power. But we should never underestimate the power of what we can do from just and giving someone hope. You said about, see, that's a whole conversation in itself, isn't it? Can we give someone hope? I don't think we can. I think they have to find it in themselves. And one of the most powerful things I've heard that it has been said, I've heard it a number of times now, and I've used it actually with clients when I was a counsellor later in life, is to say to someone, look, you're saying you've got no hope right now, but I see hope in there for you. I see that life could get different for you, and you don't see that at the moment, but can I hold that? Would you allow me to hold that for you until you're ready to take it back? Like, you don't have, because I think saying like, no, you need to have hope, or you need to have that glimmer, again, can just be minimizing someone's pain. And I know that's not exactly what you were saying, but there's something about, I don't think we can give it to someone, but I think we can hold it for them. And then there's that lovely idea of hope standing for hold on, pain ends. And, I know that's something we've talked about before, and I like it. I enjoy that idea of holding on. I think it's a slowing down that I think we all need to remember to do, especially in those crisis moments where the opportunity can be, as you said, can be gone in an instant, and there can be no more opportunities. So the idea of choosing to hold on means that all possibilities are still open. Hold on, pain ends. I guess the ends part, I have some. It doesn't always. For some people, it doesn't end. If someone's in chronic pain, for example, or other situations. But pain changes, then it doesn't work for hope. I don't know. We've got to find another word beginning with E. Hold on, pain. We'll work on that.
We'll work on it. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking on that.
You mentioned there, I wonder if you'd be happy to share, just, you mentioned about your own relationship with that, your own feelings around suicide. What sort of led to that, and are you able to share that time, and what helped you through?
Yeah, I mean, a horrendous breakup, being far from home. I was on the other side of the world, and
in Australia
I didn't see any hope. Yeah. It's the closest I've ever come to I wouldn't say I ever came close to action. I've been lucky in that way, but my thoughts were there every moment. When I woke up, it was the first thing is I wish I hadn't woken up. My parents flew out. They were literally like giving me water. They were making me get out of bed. They were making me go for walks, you know, gently. They did an amazing job, actually. But yeah, if they had asked me, and they didn't, but a friend did, if they had asked me, are you thinking of suicide? I would have said yes at that point. A friend did, and I did, and that was helpful. And the other time that I've been asked twice in my life, are you thinking of suicide? Then I was, and there was another time when I was asked it and I wasn't. But my God, the relief that it comes with somebody seeing that level of pain is incredible, extraordinary. And obviously I've asked it myself hundreds of times, but to be on the other side of it is like, oh wow, this really does, I don't want to say work, this really is powerful. This really does connect you to another human because they get it. It seems like that's like instant permission to go there into the dark with them. Yeah, it's not a time I like thinking about. Australia, sure. It was I mean, now I can look back, it's, you know, over 10 years ago, just, I can look back at it with some level of gratitude of like, wow, it's given me a level of insight that I hadn't previously had. I think my, you know, empathy is pretty solid, and I would know when I was, you know, all those times when I've sat on the phone at Samaritans or with my clients when I used to work as a counsellor with young people. I mean, we'd sit and cry together, but to feel it yourself is something else. It's terrifying. But I always knew I didn't want to die, but I couldn't see what else there was. What was the other option? Even though I'd done I was already an ASIST trainer. So then you get the secondary level of like self-flagellation of like, I should know better. Yeah. I've worked in mental health for decades. I know all this shit. I remember like every day being like, okay, I know there's a checklist. I know I got to drink water. I know I got to move my body. I know I got to like, you know, just breathe deep. You know, like, you know, I need to eat something nourishing. I need to speak to somebody. Like I had like a list of 5 or 6 things that I had to do every day. But I remember a couple of months in being like, fuck, this is so tedious because, and what it is like, I'm not getting any better because what I've realised is it's all of these things every day plus time. I was like, fuck, that's the bit I can't control. That's the bit I can't speed up. So it was just almost like a get through this day, do these things today, again and again and again.
So was there not an actual turning point where you go, was it just the small things?
It was time, and then it was like new connections and people I met. It was always about conversations. I can think of certain times and places where the lightness kind of came back in for me, where I was like, okay, something's shifted. I'm gonna, you know, I don't know, book a surf lesson. I'm gonna get somewhere. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna go to, it's these little, just getting out of my comfort zone again and being like, who am I? Remembering who you are, I think. And sometimes it takes, I was very lucky because I was speaking a lot to old friends back here in Brighton who were absolutely like solid as a rock, reminding me like who I was. But also having new people who didn't know me was really interesting. And luckily people who I knew I didn't have to put a mask on in front of. I'd, you know, got into the yoga community out there and choir, and like I'd found my people, just a couple of some really amazing people who, and it was, I think, something about having people who didn't know me as well that I could just, fully be me with. But you got to take those risks, you know, and it's so easy to not. It's so easy to stay in bed. Wow, so easy. It's like, it's an option. But I didn't want to do that.
So, like, I listen to you talk, and I think, like, there's, especially around the stuff where you're doing work in that space. Right? I've felt like that a lot. Basically, you go, like, preach about stuff a lot. I'm talking about all of the things, and even recently, like the last few months, like some of the struggles I've had personally, sort of like question why. I know all the right things to do. I know that, and I know that speaking to people helps me. Like, do you know what I mean? And yet, when you feel like that, you isolate. You isolate yourself. Like, I don't want to talk to. And then there's an old narrative going on, use words like burden or which comes up a lot, doesn't it, when we're talking about this subject. You don't want to burden other people. So I'll deal with this. I can take this. I'll deal with this. And actually, I'm doing work in this space. I know all the right things to do. So I'm going to be okay. Yeah. Actually, you need that. You need connection, you need community, you need conversation.
Yeah, who do we think we are that we're not?
We're immune to it.
That we're immune to it, or that we don't need those things. It's absolute bullshit, but it's the messages we tell ourselves, totally. And look, and then that's where we hit on the sort of reach out versus reach in. Which is is a big message of mine, a big key message of. It's like the "you're right, mate." It's the don't wait for someone to reach out because they. God forbid, we've all heard those stories. Why didn't they reach out after someone's died? We know why they didn't reach out, because it's literally the hardest thing in the world to pick up the phone, even though every interview is screaming, just pick up the fucking phone and call your best mate, because you'd sure as hell want them to call you, wouldn't you, if they were, yeah, sure. But even though we know it's the right thing to do and we know it will help.
What is the main thing that
why does it
stops people, do you think? What is the biggest thing?
Yeah, well, burden, I think, feeling like a burden, shame, not having the words. If we say things out loud, it makes it real, doesn't it? We don't want people's pity. We think people are just so busy. And sometimes we get to a place where we're like, actually, this is the right thing. I just need to disappear and the world is a better place without me. I mean, that's heartbreaking, but I'm sure, like me, you've spoken to lots of people who've got to that place. And, this is why, what I mean by we can't give someone hope. Like we can't say to someone, but what about your kids? No, I'm doing this for my kids. Like they don't need a parent like me. We get into it's like, that to us on the outside, that feels completely illogical. Of course they need a parent, they don't need you dead. But someone can be absolutely deaf to that that idea at that point when they genuinely have got to that place of feeling so worthless and so completely helpless.
That's the word, isn't it? Like I remember again reading statistics around it. Like worthless and useless were the two of the biggest words that come out of some of the people who had died by suicide and wrote letters and stuff. Those were the two biggest words that come out. Like, it is again, and I guess so much of the work is trying to go, where does that come from? That worthless and the useless side of it, because again, I relate it. Success or not, but you relate it to that feeling of should again. Look, everyone else is doing okay. Everyone else is here, and I should be a better parent. I shouldn't be in this place. All of those messages that keep going. I wonder how much of, I don't know your view, but how much of society puts that pressure on people to think in that way.
I think there's a lot of that, a lot of societal pressure, and it's up to us, I guess, isn't it? Helps if it comes earlier in childhood to think, kind of, well, screw you, society. Why? Who actually is society? It's just other people. And actually, if you ask any individual, as long as you're surrounded by good people, they'll be like, well, that's bullshit. You do what you do, mate. Like, how much do we choose to listen to it and subscribe to that, or we can go, nah, I'm on my path. It's so much easier said than done, but I think it's the more we reach in. I feel like a stuck record. I talk about it all the time, but I can't get it out of my head how we've got to start calling people before it, and stop waiting for them to call us. And that awkwardness, I remember I was about 18, 19. I remember thinking, I hate feeling awkward. Awkward is a horrible feeling. I'm never going to feel awkward again. And I literally made that decision to myself. I was like, feeling awkward is shit. I'm just not going to do it. And so now, like, if I'm like, oh, that might be an awkward conversation, fuck it, let's call it anyway, let's do it anyway. Because, like, so what? Like, it feels a bit, I'd rather just do it, and then you're on the other side of it.
But do you think that's a skill? Okay, I'm interested again now. I keep bringing it back to kids in the next one, because I believe that's where the biggest, for me, it's the biggest change will happen.
Yeah.
I believe all the stuff that we're both doing, right, in this work, and we're the adults and the people that we're teaching, the conversation we're creating, all of them, of course, I've got to believe, and I do believe that it has an impact. Yeah. Podcast, like all of the things, right?
Yeah.
But the real change, that real shift, does it come from giving the kids these skills? Can we give the skill, like that message alone, like, what a brilliant thing. Like, don't have to ever feel awkward. Like,
You can choose not to.
Choose not to, yeah. The choice to go, that could potentially make me feel awkward. Again, is that back to understanding ourselves a little better, understanding emotions and what this feeling is coming up, this feeling of feeling awkward. And that's just a feeling, but I can choose not to have that. Like, are these skills that we can give kids at a young age and start really early with that? Surely it's got to be, right?
I mean, yeah. I would like to think that could be. I mean, you know, there's something about, through those earlier teenage years, like 14, 15, being awkward is almost like a rite of passage. Like, you just think about, oh, cringe, and there's all the, oh, mum, oh, dad, you know. Yeah, I think you kind of got to work through it, but I think there's something about allowing people to know that you don't always have to, it doesn't have to stay with you. Like, it can, as you get older, I don't know. I'd love for kids to learn that message. Interestingly, actually, on this, you might be aware the PSHE curriculum is being shifted. There's an hour from September 26th, this September. There's I thought it was going to be mandatory. It's not mandatory, but there's a strong encouragement, like a suggestion that teachers teach suicide prevention skills in high school, which is really interesting. When teachers haven't been taught it. I think we need to get the teachers taught first. But there is something about, you know, age appropriately getting kids. I think if we focus on the listening part, for example, there's so much that can and should be included. But yeah, my personal sort of standpoint and the hill I will die on is we've got to train the teachers first, because teachers, how many teachers have done ASIST? So few. It's not included in their training. It's not included in doctors' training. It's not included in counsellors' training. Oh, wow. When I trained to be a counsellor, you know, we barely skimmed the surface of talking about suicide. And it was still old school. It was still like, how do we risk assess? This is before the new guidelines came in, but is somebody low, medium or high risk? Like, we have so moved on from that. That is not helpful. Like, trying to predict who will take their own life is futile. I heard it described as last week, and it's like, it is. It's a waste of our energy, and it gives us some sort of sense of power that is completely false. We have no way of predicting who, and this sort of hierarchy of risk is bullshit. You know, that can change in an instant, right? So yeah, there's a lot of learning that needs to go on. I think we need to get all frontline staff trained. Anyone working with young people, anyone working with, in any of the frontline services, so emergency services, you know, ambulance staff don't get ASIST trained. I mean, it's like, what is going on in the country? Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do.
Like that when
staggering.
You hear that, and again, similar with the stuff going into schools. One of the big things that we wanted to do was that, right? We went, because it's great that we can go in and teach these kids about emotional literacy, but if they then go home to an environment where the parents maybe are using language and narratives that they were taught when they were, not for by any fault. I'm not saying that actually the way our parent is the right way and that's the wrong way. There's no right or wrong. It's just a different way of parenting, right? And you go, but then the same, like we're speaking with the University of Sussex at the moment about how we go. Exactly, part of the teacher training is at the end that we give them skills around teaching emotional literacy. That's a focus, so that they've got the skills. So it's got to be. Because again, the change only comes in when everyone's taught. Teach the kids, of course, teach the kids about suicide. I've read amazing teachers, parents, everyone's got to be included in that conversation.
Yeah, totally. And you've really just reminded me of how, I mean, because talking about hope, one of the things that gives me hope is young people, and how much they seem to be kind of getting it and open to this and on board with this, so much of this. And this is where social media can be used for good and is being used for good, right? And like the way they're connecting and seeing good role models, as long as they're following all the right people. Man, when I miss it. When I was working as a counsellor, just literally around the corner. We're on Ship Street or Middle Street. Middle Street. So Ship Street is the YPC, right? The Young People Centre. And for years I was a counsellor there, working with 13 to 25-year-olds. And I had an unusually high number of young men come in sessions. They had 12 sessions each. I remember one 14-year-old lad, and we were coming to the end of our 12 sessions, and he'd worked through a lot of OCD, and he was phenomenal. His anxiety was he was working through it. And I remember him saying like, Rose, this stuff's brilliant. I'm going to go back and tell my dad about this. He's like, I love this shit, Rose. This is so great. My dad doesn't know any of this. And I was like, this is amazing. He's going to go home, hopefully, and like start educating his dad in some of the stuff we'd been working on around his mental health and literacy. And that gives me so much hope. That's exciting when things like that happen. It's like, wow, not only have you got it, you're really absorbing all these key messages, but you want to educate your dad.
Yeah. And that, but then I've often said it like that. For me as a parent, my biggest educators are the kids. What they teach me about the world, wow.
Yeah.
They're going to be 11 on Saturday, right? And I'm like,
wow.
Blows my mind. But what they have taught me in the last 10 years about life outweighs the whole 30 or 7 years beforehand, right? And you go like, wow, like, and it is so. And again, maybe that is part of the process, right? Part of the process of engaging in the conversation, that we're going into schools and we're having that impact, like with the suicide prevention stuff. We can get in there and get that mess, because I think that, again, some of the things that come out of the ASIST training and just your work in general around like the myth busting, right, around having the conversation about suicide, how important it is that like so many people would go, I don't want to mention or talk about suicide because it was
the idea in their head.
Like, you must hear that
all the time, every single training. Yeah, that's talking about myth. That's the biggest one, probably.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's so commonly believed still that if we even say the word, let alone if we say to someone, mate, I'm worried about you because of you said this, and are you thinking of suicide? Like, people are terrified of asking that question. And yet it's like the single most important thing you could ever do for a person. The permission that you give from that saying that. And it just gives me shivers thinking about the power that you have with that question, the things that can then follow then, because then you listen, and then, you can bring them, you can get them the help they need. And with consent, with always collaboration, but without naming it, we've been there. You talk round and round in circles with somebody for hours. You think you know what you're talking about. They think it, but nobody's mentioned the word suicide, and you're just like, everyone's kind of pussyfooting around the word. And then you leave and you cross your fingers and you're like, I hope they're all right. I hope I see them next week. And I mean, what if you didn't? Is it
that, again, we sort of covered it, but what stops people from asking that question is it the majority, the fear of not knowing? So you say, yes, I am thinking, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to, which I know a lot of this is trying to help with that, but like, what is that's got to be the biggest barrier, isn't it, for me?
There's loads that, and there's the fear of what if they say yes, there's the fear of what if they say no, and there's different ways of them saying no. There's fear of what if I upset them or offend them or anger them, and that's possible. You ask someone, are you thinking of suicide? They get really angry with you. And then there's the fear of putting the idea in someone's head, which we're just not that powerful. But those fears all really need addressing, and that's something we really talk about a lot on, as you know, in any of our trainings, because if fear is going to stop you from saying something, a lot of my work is around reducing those fears. And if you ask in a way that is compassionate and that creates the conditions for someone to be honest with you, which is what we always want, right? We don't want to. There's no point in saying things like, you're not thinking of suicide, are you? Then I'm going to be honest with So you want to ask in a way that they can respond honestly. If someone says yes, we might panic, and actually, of course we do. I still do. If somebody, I still have these conversations, and it's like, take a fucking deep breath and just know what do they need right now? They need reassurance. Thank you for telling me. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. I'm so glad you're alive right now. You're thinking of suicide. Tell me about that. I want to know about it. Wow. I mean, who else have they told? Who else has responded in that way without panicking and going, oh my God, we need an ambulance. No, we don't. This is a safe place. I
just wanted to take a moment to talk about one of our sponsors, Nostos, an authentic experience of Greece right here in the heart of Hove. In a world brimming with dining options, finding that one place that captivates your palate and heart isn't always easy. It's about more than food. It's the stories, the ambience, the slice of another world. This is the essence of Nostos, an award-winning Greek restaurant. With traditional recipes passed down through generations, each dish promises a story and a piece of heritage. And Nostos is more than just a restaurant, it's a community contributor. Each dining experience supports initiatives close to their heart, from local charities to cultural events enriching Brighton and Hove's social fabric. They also provide catering services, bringing Greek cuisine to your personal events. For a taste of Greece without leaving town, visit nostos-hove.co.uk. And when you do go, say Sam recommended the feta nests. Oh my God, they are amazing. It's just, and there's something again that you mentioned about the checking in and as opposed to waiting for something. I guess like so much of the message again, and what I've learned, I think, even on the focus groups I've hosted recently and trying to get the information out, is not just that, because sometimes just me asking that question, "Are you all right, mate?" Hopefully the idea, like someone said, is such a flippant thing that it just gives people mission straight away to go, yeah, I'm fine. But my plan for it is to try and put meaning behind that, so that when someone does ask that question, they really know I'm actually really checking in to see if you're okay. Whether you follow it up with, tell me how you really are, or however we get that thing in. But even to the point where I'm looking at going, it's maybe not even just checking in. It's actually maybe it's just going, I love you.
Yeah.
Just want to send you a message to tell you I love you. Just I've seen you, I'm proud of what you're doing at the moment, or whatever that message is, something that just gives them to go, okay, I'm seeing someone see me.
That's it, isn't it? I can't believe we've got to this point in the podcast and not even said that. It's this, I see you, I hear you, that is the most life-saving messages of all, isn't it? And you're not alone. And actually by, for example, saying, are you thinking of suicide? And I'm worried about you for these reasons. That's what we're saying is, I see you, I hear you, I see your pain, and I'm not afraid to name it. I can name it. But anything that we can say to someone where it's like, you are a human and you are acknowledged and I see you, there's that word again, life-saving, life-changing. And everything we do in life can be that, Sam. Like anytime we connect, I bang on about my singing. I've sung in a choir for 15 years. It's therapy for me. It's amazing. We started off about 10 people. We're now nearly 80. Wow. We've got lots of gigs this summer. I'll be getting you along to them.
100%.
But if I miss a Thursday night, and it takes a lot, like I'd have to be away teaching to miss it. It takes a lot. And I come back the next week, people say, where were you last week? We missed you. But the same, not just me, any one of us, like you notice. And it's lovely. And like from an ego perspective, it's like, but there's more than that. And because I work in suicide prevention, I'm like, that's fucking keeping me safe from suicide. That having that connection is like having people say, where were you last week? We missed you is part of what's keeping me safe and keeping me those thoughts of suicide further away from my mind, because I'm like, oh, I'm important. Someone sees me and hears me. Someone notices me.
And there's something in there, that sense of community, isn't there?
Right.
That sense of that you've got. And again, I remember coming out of this ASIST training, get on the ASIST training if you ain't. Get on the ASIST training. I'm getting the message clear, don't worry. It's coming out.
Other courses are available. Not everyone's got 2 days.
But it was something about that, like, and there was that great exercise at the end where we sort of stand up and everyone says a different element. And Nick, obviously, who was our trainer, was like, these are all different parts of a community of people that are around you that can help with that. And I think that, I remember Paul Dukes come on the podcast from out of Puff Daddies recently, amazing guy. Something I really took from what he said and what I really needed to hear at the time, but it was about seeking the joy in life. Right? He said like the Out of Puff Daddies is something that, similar to what you just said about the choir. Every Wednesday they turn up and they're there, and he just said like that sense of community, that sense of there's people there to check, and that's what it's become. The Out of Puff Daddies has become this whole thing around mental health, because it's just a group of guys that all are there for each other and they will look after. And it's something like I'm like recording this now. I've finally got Salt Dean Tigers Vets is starting tonight. I've got the Vets team up and running. We're just having our first training session tonight, and I'm like, like, I didn't realise how much, for all what's going on with me at the moment, I realised how much I missed it. Playing football and doing something,
Yeah.
you just go, I just need to be, and not for just to play football, as much as that's going to be lovely going out, but just a group of guys getting together.
It's belonging to something, Sam.
Yeah, belonging.
It's
that's the word,
community is one word, but I think it's more than that. It's belonging to something and being a part of something that's bigger than you is so key. And so many people are not. We're just lost. We're just floundering through. And if I think back to my darkest times, it's not just Australia, but other times, it's like I've had a sense of myself just being like almost like a little floating bubble, aimless, just nobody can pop it. Like I'm just insular and like alone and not feeling like I belong to something bigger. But as soon as you're in a football team or a choir or a yoga class that you're going to regularly or church or whatever it is for you, like something where people gather regularly, God, it's what we need. It's just so fundamentally human. And it's what happens like, going back to that training, even just in 2 days, there's a sense of belonging of like, oh my God, we're all here with a shared purpose. And it feels really fucking good. It feels really good.
And again, like there's some good things around social media, which you mentioned, but there is that feeling of like a lack of connection because of AI and social media and that thing where that phrase has get used a lot, and we're connected all over the world now, but we're less connected than we've ever been because we're like this as opposed to this. And actually needing to, my hope for the future is that like AI enables us freedom to have more of this, to have more time to connect, and on a human level that AI will never hopefully ever be able to replace. Right? Never be able to look in someone's eyes and see a soul and connect on that level.
And find the joy.
Yeah, exactly.
So much. I love that. Find the joy. I went down an Insta rabbit hole last night watching this guy who's over, I think he's in New York, and he goes on the not the tram, what do they call it? The metro, the tube, anyway, the underground in New York. And he's just starts singing Britney Spears. And he just launches into it. My loneliness is killing me. And then he goes silent. And he sees if anyone on the train goes, and so there's nearly always somebody that comes in with it. And then he just keeps going. And then on the good ones, like the whole carriage is singing. And on some of them, it's like, nobody's singing with him, and he just keeps on going. He's like, awkward, I'm just going to keep doing it, don't care. And everyone, it's just brilliant. But the joy and everyone's like there on their phones, but then they start hearing someone sing, and you can see it in people's faces. They want it. We need this. We need it so badly.
And again, I wonder how much of like the societal pressure on what we should and what's acceptable, the awkward. I keep coming back like that's really landed with me today. The feeling of like, this awkward feeling. Like, how do we stop feeling that awkward? Just let it go and be like, because kids don't generally have that. They develop that as they get a bit older.
Yeah.
Right? So like that feeling of play, they just go and play. Yeah. And it's about fun, and they just want to play. That's all they want to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like your son's 6, like just play. Right? Just want to play and enjoy it and see and seek. And then
we lose it. What happens?
Why?
It's quietened down.
Is it? And again, is that the narrative? Is that society? I'm this age now, so I've got to.
I don't know. There'll be something internal as well. There'll be hormones, there'll be the pressure to be, to conform and all that shit, which we all go through. And arguably, I don't know how much we can take it completely away, because there is something about rite of passage, and it all wrapped up in that is working out your identity. What is my place in the world? Who am I? Who do I want to be in this friendship group, in this school, in this, and then in the wider world. But then there's almost like a shedding of the skin that needs to kind of happen, and it's almost like as adults, then we're all trying to claw back what it was like to be 6.
That's it, isn't it? It's not. It's. Why do we want? What's the point where society gets hold of us and go, okay, I've got to stop being that fun person, and I've got to do this, and I've got to be serious, and life gets serious, and it is serious. There's pressures, you know what I mean? You go, well, I've got to pay a mortgage, or I've got to do this, and I've got to provide, and I've got to, we can't just go and play all the time. But is there, again, I think it's the things that light us up right, we've got to find more of the things that like. So maybe maybe we're lucky enough to find it in the work we do. Maybe if we're not, then where else can we find it? Where else can we seek that? And that was the thing that landed with me. Seek joy. Just try and seek that joy as much as we can, because it is it's a bit. I talked to someone recently who unfortunately passed away from cancer. Only a couple of weeks ago, he come on the podcast earlier in the year. Incredible guy, and you go like, he got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was like, his biggest fuck you to cancer was, I'm just going to go and live the hell out of this year, or however long I've got, and he really did. He went and I helped him. We recorded some stuff here with his mates, and like to pass. His kids are 12 and 9, just tragic that he's gone, but like, he would see, and he went, I'm choosing how I'm going to show up today. And I'm going to, just like, whoa. It was something so powerful when you're facing like death in the face. And it's just, and again, I wonder how much I can relate it to suicide prevention, and in that sense, that those feelings. But if there's something in there that we can just, again, back hope, joy, them type of feelings. Where do we, when someone's in that darkest point, deepest, darkest point, and they feel like that's the only, how do we help with that?
Yeah,
It's I don't know. Well, look, I want to a couple of things. I want to. We mentioned about. I keep going. I know I keep harping on about obviously the schools and education and what we can do with that younger generation. I do want to, because again, I want to relate it to the success piece and around how are we teaching children at schools? Are we teaching children to achieve, which is the success thing, right? But not teaching them, like, again, back to those skills that we can teach them, how to cope with life that's going to happen, right? Like, we're not teaching them life skills. And is this something where, like you said, with how young are we going to start talking about that? Like, what's the right age to start talking? How young can we start talking about that?
about suicide.
About and give them those skills around that. What age is that?
What age is right? Wow, that's a really interesting question. I guess we wanted to speak about it. We want as adults to be some of the first input. We don't want them to be hearing about it from each other. So I want to say 14, 15 maybe.
Yeah.
But going in with these hopeful messages and around what can you do? I think the awareness piece is only useful if we can follow it up with the practical, Otherwise there's no, we all know it happens. We know, you mentioned the figures earlier, it's closer to 7,000 than 6,000 every year. It's about 19 people every day in the UK that die by suicide, and 200 are school children. 200 every year. It's around, and look, they will be aware of it. They'll be so much more aware than we ever were as kids. So I think there's something about letting them know. It's the two parts, isn't it? If you ever have your own thoughts, what do you do? And if you're worried about a mate, what do you do? And the key messaging, I think, especially for children or young people, teenagers, is around confidentiality. Although, maybe we'd use words like keeping it a secret, and that no matter how much someone says don't tell anyone, it's like, actually, if we're talking life and death, it's okay to take them to go with them to find a trusted adult. And like, that is not something that anyone should be keeping a secret. It doesn't mean the school knows, no way, because it's about control, right? No, but it's about together, the two of you. If it's say two young people, where are you going to take this? Because it's got to go somewhere. That's too big for the two of you. It's too big for any. This isn't just kids. It would be two people of any age.
Yeah.
It's not for two people to hold. Certainly not for one person to hold. Then you start the conversation. But by the end of that, as you know, it's never the deal that you're the only one left holding somebody's thoughts of suicide or being the only one that knows. It's too big. It's not fair on either one of you, and you're both too important for that. There are so many limits to what you can do as one human being. There, like you said, that activity where you're like standing up, there are so many people who can fill in the gaps. We don't have to do this alone. Absolutely not. And we can't, and we mustn't. It's not safe for them, but neither is it safe for us, because we wouldn't sleep that night knowing that we were the only one knowing.
It's so right, and it's again so much of what come out of that, because I think again back to that feeling of what stops us from asking, because someone does say yes, and then you feel, am I going to be under the pressure to?
Yeah.
It's on me to keep that person alive, and I think what the training allows you is the permission, gives you the permission to ask the question, to get that answer and go, right, I've not got to hold this. I've got permission to speak to, or take someone on that journey with them to help keep them safe, right? And I think that's the knowing your limitations is, I think I'm only, and again back to the kids, the active listening. We're going to give kids these skills to really listen, to understand, and know that it's not just because I think, especially, and when I relate it to men, I think, a lot of the work with you, mate, around male suicide, and we go, it's just about, I think, we want to, as men, we want to fix something. You're going to tell me a problem, right? Okay, what do I do? How do I sort this out? You don't need that right now. Like, that's not always, because again, that if someone's saying, I'm going to do this for you, right, we're going to do this, and this, I'm not ready for that. Or I don't want, because now I feel a burden, because I'm asking you, you're saying you're going to do it.
I don't need come up with some solutions. Yeah.
And it's I think that realisation for me that going, actually, I haven't got to fix. You haven't got to fix. Just got to be there. You just hold that phrase used a lot, but hold that space, that safe space, listen, and I think and
then create safety, and then work with them around those practicalities. And when it's around suicide, safety trumps everything. All that fixing, all those big life changes and differences. That's not for now.
Yeah.
It's just not for now. Actually, what's happening right now? Where are you going after this conversation? If you have made a plan, have you gathered the means? How can we keep you safe from that temptation? If you've got things at home that you're thinking, not going to be safe, what do you need to do about them? And it's not, what am I going to do? No, it's what are you and what are we going to do? What can we do right now? Yeah, and because who else have they even, where else does someone have this conversation? My absolute belief, my wholehearted belief, is that anyone can learn to do this. And you started off in your intro saying these conversations are not for professionals. Professionals don't even know how to have these conversations. So most people, as you say, don't talk to a doctor or a counsellor or a mental health worker in the year before they die. It is about 2/3 that die before they've even spoken to a professional. So it's no good us going, oh, it's fine, the doctor will sort that, or the counsellor, they'll seek help. They probably won't. It really is down to us as mates, as bartenders, taxi drivers. Anyone can have these conversations. And I love it. I love it when I'm working, when I've got a room full of people and I've got a couple of counsellors and I've got a tattoo artist and I've got a couple of parents who are scared shitless about their kids, and everyone's learning together. And it's this is community. You want to literally have the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker in the room, because this is how we create, how we make Brighton safer, how you make a workplace safer. When I go into schools to deliver to staff, very often they'll fill the room with the pastoral leads, the heads of year, maybe the head teacher, often not. But, the sort of the people you'd expect, right? The safeguarding lead. Yeah, sure, great. They all need to know. But I'm like, where are the cleaners? Where are you don't say dinner ladies now, right? Where are the people who work in the kitchen? Where is the head teacher? But absolutely, the cleaners, anybody that the kids might just come into contact with, because kids / anyone will talk to the person who once looked at us the way you're looking at me now and just gave us that nice smile, and we go, I trust you. I don't care about your job title. They're not going to go to the safeguarding lead necessarily. They might, because they might be amazing and they might be really connected with the kids, but they'll talk to somebody who they've got that gut instinct of just that good vibe. I like you. I can trust you. And that could be a cleaner. That everyone needs this stuff. So you've got me thinking a lot on this conversation. I'm I need to be putting out more connection stuff and more education, because I do feel like I've got, a lot to say and a lot that could be shared. And
you really are. And I think again, we'll come back to something you started with almost at the start around language, right? Just
Yeah.
give, even if it is like, even if someone doesn't go on the 2-day training or doesn't come on the 90-minute session, even if that, but just, is there some language that just some key messages and some key language that can give, is it something, again, I think of parents, really, as a parent myself, like what skills as a parent, like we're not given their skill. We don't know what it is like. Obviously I'm doing some work in this space. I've been on the amazing training, so there's stuff that I can maybe do, but I think like most parents haven't. We don't know. There's no rule book to being a parent, and especially around this subject and what that looks like. So how can we get in? Like you said, you're doing stuff in schools. The schools need to get behind it more to go, right, we're going to host, we're doing this training in school now, but we're hosting a thing for parents, and parents come in and...
I mean, some people are doing this amazing work, and I'm thinking of Lauren Cavallo. I'm going to do some shout outs. Hans Saraja. There's like so many people doing incredible things, and there's actually about to be a big summer program from a big national organisation called OVO, One Voice, One Hope. One Voice, One Hope, I think that's right, for schools, literally for schools, and hopefully that will branch out to parents as well, like free training, because like the schools are floundering, and they're like, I know we've got to teach this stuff, but we don't know how. So there's lots of exciting things happening and lots of people doing this work. But in terms of, parenting is the hardest, right? And sometimes by definition, we're the last person in the world that sometimes can help a person. Sometimes with our kids, I've got this to come. You're a few years ahead of me. It is so painful to see our children in pain, isn't it? It's the worst. And we'll do anything to stop that. And yet that can sometimes lead us into saying things like, no, don't think like that, or cheer up, and all these things. We're like, oh, this is not helpful. Yeah. So there is something about just really acknowledging pain, saying, wow, you're in so much pain right now. Am I the right person to talk to, or who else? I remember we had this conversation about how kids, even slightly older kids who've got their own phone, have nobody they can call, no adults they can call apart from their parents, like no adults in their phone other than their parents, and that can be a real barrier, And so messaging I would want to get out for parents is when is the last time, or if you haven't, can you sit down with your teenage kids and be like, right, who else apart from me, and maybe another parent, if there is one, apart from us, who are your adults? Who are your people that you can trust? There might be someone at school, sure, but that's going to be limited to school hours, right? So who else? Like which aunties, which uncles, which, non-blood aunties and uncles, which of our mates that you've known all your life do you think, that you trust? Let's get their numbers written. Let's stick it on the fridge. Let's so you can access them anytime. You don't have to ask me for the number. I think that's the barrier. Like if they were to say, Dad, I need to speak to whoever, your best mate, you'd be like, well, why? And so why do you have to be the conduit to that? And I think there's something about allowing them to have direct access to other trusted adults is a really powerful thing.
The trust, isn't it? The trust with the adults, trust with you, and trust that your kids, but you're giving them that autonomy to reach out when they need, and if it's not me, then knowing that I trust you, you'll choose the right person who you need at that time.
Yeah. And to close the loop as well, and then say, look, let's say his name is, I don't know, Joe. Let's call Joe together. Should we do it now? Let's do it from your phone, then you can save his number in as we do it. Let's get him on the phone, speakerphone. Hey, Joe, I'm just sat here with my kids. He or she wants you to be someone he can talk to. Is that all right? Can you save his number as well? And just so there's a so that it's all transparent, and then your kid has heard you talking to Joe. And then it's not, they don't have to make that call for the first time on their own, because how awkward would that be for a kid to go, oh, hi, Uncle Joe, Dad gave me your number, and that's weird. That's going to be hard for them to make that call. So like with any signposting, this is a big thing for me, active signposting, like giving someone a number, that's not it. It doesn't cut it for me. It doesn't. If I was given a number by someone in a time of need, I'd be like, yeah, sure. And that would end up in the bin or recycling, or who knows. It doesn't. But if someone sat with me and gone, let's call this number right now together, I'd take that. And if they'd said, let's do it from your phone, Rose. So your number, it's like, okay, well, I've even got it in there now. I'm going to probably call at 3 a.m, because I've done it before with you. It's so different. It's like going that step further, you know?
Yeah. Because there's something in it, like, again, something someone mentioned to me recently, it's like we hear them statistics and we know that they're going up, and like, so many people doing such amazing work in this space, and yet the statistics are still going up. So you go, right, because awareness is amazing, right? And awareness is an incredible thing, and there's so much more awareness, and it's great. But it's the action, isn't it?
It's the action.
It's got to be that. And I think that's what, I think it was Paul Drudes who said it, because he's ambassador for the Mental Health Foundation now, and he was saying that's their biggest thing at the moment is the action.
Yeah.
What action
What can I do?
Yeah.
And what can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, it's taking that action. It's not just, right, here's a card, I'm going to give you some, this is the awareness, this is some of the people that you can speak to. The action is, let's speak to these people now, today, right now, and then we'll see
Totally.
there's something massive. I guess I just want to keep on with the parents thing. Again, going on with that, but like, what do you think? Like, I talk about emotional literacy. What do you think? Like, as parents, we need to understand about, I guess about emotional well-being for kids right now, like where they are. What do we, like, as a parent listening, maybe what are some of the challenges? What do we need to understand about
I guess I can only speak from personal experience. I guess it's about, we've got to get into their world. I remember, this is a weird reference, Alanis Morissette, who I obviously, amazing, who actually saw a few years ago perform her Jack Little Pill 25-year tour. Does that make you feel old?
Is that how long since
it was 25 years, but plus COVID, because anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, I felt very old, and I couldn't speak for 3 days because I sang every line of the. But she said in a podcast, when you're with kids of any age, I guess she was mainly talking about little ones, but it really follows through to the teens. She said, follow the eyeballs. And I love that. So what she was saying was, like, when you're sitting with a kid, like, too often as parents of any age, we're like, do this with me, read this with me, you know, look at this thing. But actually a kid's eyeballs are like, wherever they're darting to, follow them, and then be like, oh, you're interested in that, huh? Let's talk about that then. And wherever their eyeballs go, you go there. And I think I've not really thought about this till now. I mean, I've taken that on board, and I do it with Stan. Sure, I try and do it now that he's little. But as kids get older, still follow the eyeballs. And if they're looking at particular YouTube channels or, you know, games, like, I don't know, I would like to think that I'm going to be like, let me into your world to an extent. Like, at least can I just watch and like ask you a few questions and what are you learning from this? Oh my God. And I've seen this fantastic, now I'm not going to be able to remember the name on Instagram, but turning gaming into like life skills. So like, for example, I don't know loads about Minecraft, but there's an element of like, you need your storehouses, you need certain amounts of stocks of this and that, and you don't want that to run out. And like, you know, there's a lot of like stock checking around weapons and I don't know, bricks and I don't know. See, I don't know about Minecraft, but this fantastic parent on Insta has said, look, I use that in my parenting, and like go, all right, so just like you'd never let your things run out in Minecraft, let's go look at your socks, because you know, how many socks do you need this week? Oh, look, that's running low. Should we get some in the wash? And like, you know, so using the skills that you learn in the games to look at life skills. Like, you're really good at this game. And why are you good at it? Because you never let these things run out. You're always thinking ahead. Oh, I'm running low on that. I better stock up on that. That translates to real life skills, you know. So finding the good in it and sort of translating it and lots of praise where it's due, you know. And I don't know. I'm no parenting expert. I'm just making it up as we go along. I mean, we all are.
I think that's it, right? And there's no rule book. There's no rule book for life. There's no rule book for being a parent, especially. And you go, you do just. I think of ours and like Lucy with her, you know, her transition and gender questioning and all that. Like, you're not prepared for that. You don't know how. You know, I was brought up in Dagenham, you know, in Essex, and you go like, this wouldn't have happened when I was at school. You go like, wow, this is, and again, I go back to the lesson she's taught me about the beauty of life and what it is. It's incredible, right? But there's no rules for it. We're just learning, and we're trying to educate and go as we are. But again, for me, so much of it comes down to communication, conversation. Again, the whole essence of this episode around the importance and the power of conversations. But I know some of the conversations I have with my kids are completely different to what my parents. And I had the best parents in the world. They're most beautiful. And they are the most beautiful. It's my dad's birthday today, as we're recording.
Oh,
It's
happy
the
birthday,
most
Dad.
beautiful parents in the world. But types of conversations, and they're so. I think again, this is back to the education piece, and obviously with the work you're doing, and giving people, parents, teachers, the language and the tools to be able to communicate with kids on a different level to what we used to be able to.
Yeah.
It's just got to be of the utmost importance. And I think if we look at the education system as a whole and where that is and what we're teaching,
it needs a bit of an overhaul, doesn't it?
it needs a little bit of an overhaul. That is for another podcast.
Get the Minister for Education in here, Sam.
Yeah. I'm on that. That's my bugbear. But I wanted to move on. One of the big things, and I think one of the statistics I shared from on the 100th episode come from the training I first did with you at 90 Minute around, 60% of a lot of suicides are finance or economic related issues. They come from that, and that really landed obviously with my whole mission and the definition around what it means to be successful. Right, like we're saying, success in society is the dictionary definition is still the attainment of fame, wealth, or social status. Right? Like, how the hell that can be, and yet you relate to finance or economic issues. 60% of those suicides are that.
Yeah.
You go, like, how can that be? That we're saying this over here, and social media and society is saying this is success, and then people are not measuring up to that, and that's where they feel like a failure, and they're dying of suicide because of that.
Yeah.
Like, I get.
Yeah.
Like, just talk to me a little bit about that. I think, like, is it some of the definitions of success, I guess, or what the definition of success is? And I'm asking lots of people, but how damaging is it within society?
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting about the finances being such a contributor to people dying by suicide. I don't know, my gut instinct, and I don't know that there's even any stats on this, I don't know how you'd measure it, is that that's not necessarily because people feel like they should have wealth. I think it's just if you haven't got even a basic level of wealth, or you're worried about how you're going to put food on the table, suicide becomes an option. I mean, it's very hard to do the work I do and not get political and not think about, the cost of living.
Yeah.
When people haven't got the basics, when their home is under threat, or they're faced with homelessness, or they can't feed their kids. It's a place you can quite imagine where people go in their mind. So I don't know that's even, I don't think success is, I don't imagine that the word success is even anywhere on somebody's radar. If you've got to that point of living in poverty, like, it's the Maslow thing, right? It's like, it's if you haven't got the basics. Yeah, I don't know that people are thinking, I don't think that people are thinking I should have the money because that's what I should have at this age of life. I think it's just day to day, how am I going to eat? So, yeah. And being in debt and, having bills coming out, and you can't sleep, this is the stuff that, it drives you mad, and it can ultimately, kill you. It's unfathomable, I think, if we've not been to that level of...
And I guess then my thought process is around the feeling of success. Like, a lot of people have alluded to that on here, like that. What success is a feeling. Like, if there's that feeling of success, and like you said, in those deepest, darkest, like, is there a different narrative that can be presented that can give even with, in limited resources, limited funds, or whatever that looks like, we can still have a feeling? Is there those elements of, I guess, what am I looking for? Like, one of the things I've tried to do, especially within the program, the men's program, is trying to identify things in people's lives to make them feel successful. Because one of the things we've done it with these guys, and me and Joel, I'll give you a real life example. We were sitting there and I shared a clip from Kevin Byrne, who sold Checker Trade for 90 million. Right? Yeah, I looked around the room, which is online. And we looked around the room, and he was talking about he felt depressed and went to a dark space. Created all this wealth and yet felt lost and no purpose and stuff like that. And you could see we almost started to lose the room a little bit. Like I looked at someone, and there was one guy in particular. He was really he was not noting stuff down, and he kept checking his phone. And you could see, listening to this guy, he's got 90 million, man. What's he worried about? Here I am struggling. I'm fucking, paying bills and where I am, and I felt like we lost the. And then I come back into the room, and as we went offline, I said to Joe, I was like, maybe I've got this messaging wrong. I think we've lost the room. And we went back in. And actually part of the exercise was identifying where they are at the moment and looking for some of the, what today is going to be a good thing about today. Like gratitude, we're practicing gratitude at that time, I think. And one of the things he identified was he was leaving early that day to go and see his daughters play at school. It's like, and actually everyone shared similar types of things, right? And what we was highlighting there, what come out of it, which was amazing, sort of shifting people after, was how we can recognise that feeling of success, because that is success right there, right? Identifying that I'm going to leave work early to go and see my kids play. That is a feeling of success, and you sort of shifting these guys going, oh, actually. And we shared at the end, we go, I'm sitting in a room full of successful men. Like we looked at that guy who's got 90 million, but I'm sitting in a room full of successful men.
Yeah.
And trying to recognise that element, I think that's what I'm trying to get to, is that point of going, we can all maybe have that feeling of that if the metric in which we're measuring it is different. Because I said one of the big things was in 10 years' time, I'm going to give you 90 million. That's going to be a film. I'll give you £90 million in 10 years' time. But for that, you can't go to any school plays. You can't do the school run and pick them up or anything. And you can't put them to bed at night. But I am going to give you that 10. Do you take it?
No chance.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so interesting, isn't it?
So you look at that, and I just think, I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there.
No, that's really, really interesting. That's really interesting, Sam. Yeah, and that question, that really hits home. And did you put that to the guys?
Yeah. So, and yeah, exactly that.
And were they just blanket no?
Straight away, yeah. Like, obviously, there was a couple of blokes, jokers who would go, well, yeah, but I could. But no, obviously, everyone was like, no, absolutely no chance. And you wouldn't.
Because I think that's, again, there's a messaging that we've got from, not just social media, but from life, that we could die tomorrow. Like, life is so short and it is so unpredictable, and we could get sick. You mentioned this guy who's died recently, that any one of us could just get ill, have an accident. There's no question that you want to be there for the school plays. And when you say about what's the idea of success, for me it is taking these holidays in my camper van where I can just jet off, and we can just turn 90 degrees, turn 180 degrees as we did the other week. We didn't go to Scotland, we went to France instead on a whim. That is success to me. How do you get that feeling? Or how do you name or capture that feeling? That's such an interesting question. I think gratitude is a part of it, but I think there's also an element of, the word isn't quite smug. It's not about feeling smug. It's knowing. It's more like knowing I've actually had a part to play in this. Because I think what sometimes I find difficult is when people do just go, oh, you're so lucky that you get to do that. It's like, no, I've made it happen. There's been an element of, so any one of those guys, if they're leaving early to go and see their kid play football, the feeling of success is, and I've made that choice and I'm making that happen. Nobody's forcing me to go and see her play football. That's if someone was forcing you to do anything, there's no feeling of success within you, is there? Because it's like, I've been made to do it, and it takes some of the joy out. I mean, still, you'd always love seeing your kid play football. Stan doesn't play football. You throw a ball at Stan, he's like, what do I do with it? It's Hannah, the kids, honestly, they don't know what to do with the football.
They find it tight. Being a football man as I am, I'm like, they give it get into football, and neither of them were into it. And then Sienna, at about 9, maybe, I think she finally got into it. But yeah, so
maybe it will come. I mean, I kind of hope it doesn't. I hope he ends up. I want him to be in bands and stuff, but we'll see. It's not either or, of course. He can do whatever he wants. But there, I don't know. Is that making sense? I feel like there's something in that, like around success. That feeling of success comes where it's like, I've made a choice, and I'm grateful that circumstances have allowed me, or I have that freedom. But there's even that I've had a chance. I've had a part to play in creating that freedom for myself, or having that choice. And I've chosen, for example, to say no to the 90 grand and do mythical offer. It comes down to values, doesn't it? Like what's important, and in this moment, like every moment is a choice. Every moment we wake up, like you were saying about your guest, your friend who died from cancer recently, waking up and facing death. I mean, we should all be living like that. We're all facing death. We will die.
And this is something else that's not talked about. Right? Like we don't suicide and death. We don't talk about death, but it's the thing that is going to happen. When it's going to happen, I think we put in life, we generally go, but that's so far away, it's not going to happen. But we don't know, right?
I feel like it could happen at any moment. But that to me isn't depressing, and neither is the work I do depressing. It's entirely hopeful, because I think by acknowledging how close death always is, it reminds us to live.
Yeah, I love that.
It reminds us we're alive. We're so fucking alive right now. Look, we're sat here. Look, we're sitting on beautiful furniture in a beautiful room with a great human. We are so alive right now. This will not last forever. We are on such borrowed time.
But what stops us from living life like? Because I'm conscious. I'm conscious of people listening, going, but I can't live every day like it's my last. I can't, because I've got to go and work 2 jobs, because I've got to fucking pay the bills and I've got to put food on the table. I can't live every day like it's my last. And I do, and of course that I'll get that as well. I understand that, and I know it. I know how grateful I am and privileged I am to do the work I do.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, there's elements of luck in that, in everything in life, the universe, whatever. But my upbringing, all of them things, but there's also elements of choice that I've made to create a life that enables me to do that. So we've got all those factors in there, but the realisation that, and the perspective it gives you, sitting there opposite this guy and talking to him, a beautiful human being. And when I posted his episode, the amount of love for this man was just, I was like, wow, like such an incredible human being. And like I said, went to the room where we sat in here, and I organised for him to sit with 6 of his mates, and they just talked, leaving like a legacy for his kids, right? Living, and just they was taking a piss out of him and like having banter and calling him all sorts of things, and at the same time there was love and there was respect and there was, it was just the most powerful, beautiful thing that they created, and it made me, a couple of things for me, go navigating some challenging, just put so much in perspective, going life can be over like that. How grateful I am, again, like you said, to be here right now, sitting opposite you today. Fuck, what an amazing gift that is.
Yeah.
And again, I think all of it circles back to those feelings of hope that we can get when people are feeling just, there can be something in a day that you can maybe be grateful for.
Yeah.
And I think gratitude is probably the biggest thing that we can take from that, possibly. I don't know.
It's so key, and I don't journal, I don't write down my gratitude lists. Occasionally I'll grab a piece of paper and go, I should probably do something, but I don't know, it's maybe more just a general mindset, and just how do you choose to spend your first sort of half an hour of the day? I mean, actually, I shouldn't go there with my daily, because I reach for my phone far too quickly. And what I notice on the days when I don't, when I do leave my phone downstairs intentionally, I notice I do have definitely a better day. And I'll open the curtains, look out, go, what kind of day do I want to have today? Yeah, maybe set a bit of an intention, or just like, what are my priorities today? It feels so bloody good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm again. There's something I'm trying to do better at, and I try and leave the phone in the other room, and it doesn't always happen. And it's your alarms. You get up and you go, oh, fucking hell. I look at it, and then you're scrolling before you know it, and you're, oh shit. And it is that we become slaves to them, and you go, I'm trying to. And like I said, there's so many good things for it, work and all the business and everything. And I wonder when you go away in the camper van. Detox digitally, or do you?
I try. Well, you need to use it for maps and looking at campsites and stuff. But I that's the one thing I'm good at is putting. It's the only time I ever schedule posts, but I'll write a few. I'm very motivated in the week before I go. Schedule a couple of things each week on LinkedIn, and then delete the app from my phone. And that's my big. Because that's my addiction is scrolling on LinkedIn. Awful thing for you. Don't recommend. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. And actually, then it often takes me about a week or so when I get back to actually go, I probably should put it back on. But actually, why? Wouldn't it be nice to just only do it when I'm on my laptop? And in answer to your question, pretty much a digital detox. I read. I can't keep me away from a book when we're away. And look, you're in nature the whole time. There's play, there's frisbees to be thrown. There's stuff to do. So it's not it's the last thing you want to do.
There's something.
That's not real life, is it?
When we go,
all the time.
When we go camping once a year with the kids, like a big group of us go. We've been doing it for the last few years.
Yeah.
And on the Friday, by the Friday night, my phone's died and there's nowhere to plug it in, of course. I fucking love that weekend. Because you just, what I miss? I didn't miss anything.
No, everyone's here.
Sunday night, I can't plug it back in, comes back on, not missed anything. You go, but the feeling of knowing I don't even have to look at it, like it sits in the bag then after that, and you don't even look at it. Can't set the alarm, can't do anything because it's just dead. And you capture that moment and go, wow. Why don't I just do this more? We don't. We just come back into life and we just get on with it, and it becomes habit.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. There's they say travel broadens the mind. That we do our best thinking, don't we? Sometimes when we're away and just got a little bit of perspective. Nothing. You don't have to go to Bali. You can just go to a campsite up the road, right? Just a bit of space. But I think that's when I've got my best habits, and the ones that have stuck are the ones that I realise when I'm away. Like for example, going to the supermarket and being like, I get to go here, and I get to choose which of this cereal, and and even things like walking routes that you have to do regularly, like from home to where platform 9 where I work. I'll go each time. I'll go, which way should I go today? And I try to mix up the routes, and these little moments of self-care, that's what they are, right? It's I've never walked down that street, or I haven't walked. Do you know there's a house down there that's a gorgeous colour? I'm going to go that way today. Just mixing it up, just not being on autopilot. Autopilot makes the world blend into one, right? It makes the time fly. That's when we start to go monotonous. So I think it's constantly that choice of which road should I walk down today, or which different cereal should I buy? It sounds ridiculously tiny, but I think this stuff matters. I think it really matters.
And it is, the more I listen, the more I learn. It is like the small daily things in life that we do have I remember Carlos Saber coming on here from Happy Startups. He was saying that about the agency over our choices in our life and something like that, because again back to going about death or whatever, but back to that feeling of that can be taken away from us sometimes. Be cancer or illness or whatever, accident, whatever that is, it can be taken away from us at any time. So while we have the ability to make a choice, try and take agency of that. And like you said, if it's something as simple as that, I'm going to actively take the option to walk down this road today instead of that one, just to change something up that's a bit different. Maybe that helps.
Yeah, and something I keep coming back to, and you'll be well aware of it, is that Bonnie Ware. The regrets of the dying. I mean, there you go. There's a manifesto for life. Just keep going back to that and be like, and occasionally when I've done meditation, it's not something I do regularly, but when I have done, I've done that one where the future, where they, you're closing your eyes and they invite you to think maybe you're 80, 90, or you're on your deathbed, and you take yourself there, and my God, that alone is bonkers. And then you think back, and it's like, think back on who you are now, and what advice would you have? Because often we're saying, what advice would you give your younger self? What would 90-year-old you give you now advice about. And what there's that gorgeous poem, isn't there? What will you choose to do with your one and precious life? You know, every moment is so important. And I'm really grateful for some of the most of the choices that I've made that's got me here doing work that feels really fucking hard but really rewarding. Yeah, gets me up in the morning. What more do you want?
I want to, as we're coming towards the end, I want to something I really want to just touch on is the word that's come out and a bit of a theme throughout, and certainly for me, what come out again, I guess, from the training around hope. I guess with where the statistics are and what we're doing, but what gives you hope about doing the work that you're doing now? Where for you, what's that?
I guess there's some things that we've mentioned already, but I'm going to pull them out again. So apart from young people giving me hope, and they give me a lot of hope. I think this world's going to be in safe hands with the next generation, or safer hands. Specifically around the work I do around suicide, what gives me hope is knowing that most people don't want to die, that their survival instinct kicks in and is strong, and most people in one way or another will save their own life, whether that's making a call or, you know, or answering honestly when someone reaches in. Knowing that most people let others know, usually unconsciously, but those signs are there. And so that gives me hope, because if we can just get our radars blipping more, like if more people could be alert to the risks around, then that gives me hope. We can make a difference. And I guess ultimately what gives me hope is knowing that having these skills can mean that people stay alive, that people choose life or choose to stay safe for now. I know this stuff works because people have told me, and I know it firsthand because, you know, conversation has saved my life. So I know that anyone can do this.
Look, I am.
Are you all right?
Yeah,
you all right, mate?
I am all right. I am. Yeah.
It's
really
beautiful
grateful.
work, Sam.
Yeah, I'm so
what you're
grateful
doing
for this
as well.
conversation. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I got to meet you, and I got to come on the amazing training that you do, and how much that I know how much it's helping other people, but actually how much it's helped me. Right? Got emotional. Cry on my own podcast all the time, don't I? It's me. But how much it really, you know, just this conversation alone, how much it helps me, and I'm confident that people listening, it will help them as well. Right? I guess like for someone listening that is struggling at the moment, what would be the one thing that you want them to take away from this conversation? If there's one thing, if someone is listening right now and they're not in a great place, what would you want to say?
Oh, you get me going. That you're not alone, you matter, and there's a reason to stay. And if you've got the energy, look at reasonstostay.com. You've seen it?
Oh, Ben
Bloody
West,
hell.
yeah, what a guy.
There is a reason to stay, and even if you can't see it yourself, allow someone else to hold that for you. And I guess it's the hold on. If you're at that point and you think that nobody cares or nobody would notice, or that, you know, the world would be a better place, that's in the kindest possible way. That's your brain lying to you. That is just not true. Your death would devastate not just the people in your close circle, but your much wider community. You matter, you're important, you're needed. And yeah, if you can't see that yet, don't take that opportunity away from yourself. Life will get better.
Beautiful. Thank you. We have a closing tradition on this podcast. These are storytelling cards.
Do I get to ask you a question?
No. Choose a card,
That
any
would be
card.
much more.
Pass it back to me. You
Oh,
don't even get.
God. Here we go.
Don't even get a chance to look at it. Look at that. Okay.
Go on, it's like tarot. Go on, you're going to read my future.
What boundaries
Oh, God.
have improved your closest relationships?
Oh, God, what a great question. Who made those cards?
These are my storytelling cards.
I know they are.
My storytelling cards.
What boundaries have improved my personal relationships?
Your closest relationship, yeah.
Okay. I mean, instantly my brain starts going to relationship with my husband, but actually I've got a really clear example of a boundary that with my mum. Hi, Mum, if you're listening. We had a conversation a few years ago where I put a boundary in, and it's been really helpful. Sometimes she forgets, but we're mostly there, where I said, Mum, rather than just telling me what you think or offering a solution or giving me an opinion, would you mind asking me first, Rose, do you want to hear what I think? And when she does it, I love it so much. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, all right. And sometimes I'll be like, no, not really. I don't want to know what you think right now because I'm pretty concerned with my own opinions or, And I wonder if she even remembers this. But it for a while there, it was really helpful and it felt like a real turning point in our relationship. And it took a lot of guts for me to even ask that. But actually then once I'd said it, it felt really natural. We had a laugh over it. She gets it. Thank God. And she'll often forget. But the intention's there and the boundary, there's a foundation set there for that boundary. And that's been useful for us.
Love that. and again, awkward conversation, right? Have that awkward conversation.
Yeah, shake it off. Be like, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. It's worth it on the other side.
Love it. Rose, thank you so much. So many things, really. Just one, coming on today and being your brilliant self and just, sharing your story, your wisdom, your knowledge. But I guess, ultimately, just thank you so much for the work you're doing. Knowing the journey I'm on with stuff, but seeing what you do and having the privilege of doing it firsthand, like coming in and doing the program, do the ASIST training, it saves lives. Yeah. That's the bottom line. It saves lives categorically. What it's given me is amazing, and I know the people that I was lucky enough to be on the program, the course with as well. What it's given them and what amazing things you're doing in this world is incredible. So thank you. Thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for this wonderful conversation. It was as amazing as I knew it would be. So thank you.
All back at you, Sam. Thank you for everything you are and everything you do.
Amazing. And as they say, here's a wrap.
That's a wrap.